This isn't going to be like any other garden planting video you've ever seen. I started by making a simple list of all the things I wanted to grow, over 50 different things this year. Then I assigned each garden bed a main crop I knew I wanted in that bed, and then filled in the rest with succession and interplantings so I can have a root in the ground year-round. I don't know if you'll always be able to tell what I'm drawing, but let's take a look at the garden. To help you visualize how the garden is arranged, I've numbered the beds. Here's bed 1, bed 2, 3, 4, bed 5, 6, 7, beds 8, 9, 10, and 11. The main crops for bed 1, which has a fence running through the center, are peas in the spring and tomatoes and peppers in the summer. I need to be able to plant pea seeds in late February into a bed of arugula and mash, or corn salad. This is my first seed sowing of the year, so I need the winter vegetables to be something that I'm harvesting from mature plants, not something immature that will take off in spring. So I will have planted mash and arugula in the fall, which should both do fine here next to the fence where they won't have any protection from a cloth. So the mash and arugula will come out anywhere we need to plant pea seeds, and the peas will grow up. When we get past our frost date, I'll transplant tomatoes, peppers, and tomatillos near the fence. While these become established in June, the peas will be harvested up until July when it gets too hot for peas. I'll pull the peas out and the other plants can become established on the fence. As they grow larger, I'll trim the lower branches and have bush beans growing in the understory. When the beans and other warm plants are done around the end of September, I'll take out all those warm weather plants and transplant mash, or corn salad, and arugula in for the winter, and then the cycle can continue. Bed 2 is just a clear path right now. It used to be a garden bed for the previous owners of the house, and I don't have the soil covered because the bed is up against the house and I'm afraid of creating bug problems in the house. I'm willing to risk it a little for a couple of plants though, so I'm going to transplant an artichoke plant from a friend's garden, as well as a rosemary plant, which should grow into a small bush. These will just remain in the soil all year long. I think this is a good location because it's extra warm right here, extra sheltered from the wind, and they will get full sun every day. Bed 3 will be for root vegetables that grow in all 4 seasons. I'll have carrots, beets, parsnips, and leeks. These will each be planted or transplanted in the spring, grow over the summer and fall, and be harvested starting in the summer and then into the fall and winter, until being planted again in the spring. I'm thinking I'll probably be able to grow 2 crops of the carrots and beets, so they'll be sown again in midsummer after the first harvest. The main crop for bed 4 is zucchini squash. These will be planted with wide spacings in a long row and under a mesh screen with hoops to prevent squash bugs. The zucchini are being planted into a bed of lettuce and other leafy greens and winter vegetables, the greens being pulled wherever the zucchini is sown. As the zucchini matures, the greens and lettuces are pulled to make room until they are all gone by July. In August, new lettuces, greens, turnips, and cilantro are planted among the zucchini so they can become well established before November. Keeping the zucchini plants well trimmed will help to provide sufficient sunlight for this, though many of these plants might benefit from a bit of shade in the worst heat of the summer. At the first heavy frost in October, the zucchini plants are clipped out, leaving the established winter bed, which will then be ready for zucchini the following season. Bed 5 is what I call my long tomato fence. Several weeks before the final frost, radishes and spring turnips will be planted wherever there are spaces in the winter spinach. These are all pulled out and the tomatoes and basil are transplanted in. The tomatoes are kept well trimmed near their bases to leave adequate sunlight for the basil. In early September, the basil is cut out and winter spinach is planted in its place. These grow until the spring and the cycle continues. Bed 6 is a potato bed, planted in a double row under insect netting. Since the potatoes will be heavily mulched with leaves, I don't want a bunch of other crops growing around them. They will be harvested in August, and I intend to grow a bunch of brassicas in their place under netting. These will grow through the winter until next spring, when more potatoes will be planted. Bed 7 will become a perennial bed planted with an asparagus section, strawberry section, and raspberry section. Bed 8 will be filled with perennial herbs, including green onions, chives, oregano, sage, thyme, and mint. Celery, cilantro, and parsley will also be tucked into locations in this bed and will be able to grow through the winter. Bed 9 will be planted with cucumbers, trellised on a length of fence. Dill will be planted around the bases of the cucumbers. The dill is removed in August to make room for winter plantings of lettuce, which should be shaded by the cucumber leaves. The cucumbers come out when we get our first frost, and the fence comes down to make room for hoops and row cover for the lettuce. For most of the year, Bed 10 is dedicated to garlic, the garlic being planted in the late fall and intersown with spinach. Garlic and spinach come out by the end of June, and corn and cucumbers are sown. These will grow until late fall, when the garlic and the spinach are sown again. Bed 11 will be used to grow cantaloupe, which will grow until harvest in the late summer and be replaced with winter rye. I know I said I want to grow edibles as my winter crops, but this section of ground seems to need soil improvement more than any other, and I'm hoping that the fibrous roots of the winter rye will add organic matter and help the soil biology. In the spring, the winter rye will be terminated by hoeing, covering with black plastic, and new melons will be sown. Well, that's the plan. It's not set in stone. If you have any ideas you think might help, please let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see how they work out. If you want to find out more about why I want to root in the ground year-round, click on this link to a video about that. See you in the garden.